On March 1807, U.S. Congress banned the importation of slaves from Africa. The law took effect on January 1, 1808. The law stipulated that violators were to be fined $800 for knowingly buying illegally imported slaves to $20,000 for equipping a slave ship or imprisoned. State legislatures would decide the fates of the illegally imported slaves. The new law, owing to anti-black sentiments and government inefficiency, was poorly enforced. In autumn of 1859, the schooner Cleotilda under the command of Captain William Foster, arrived in Mobile Bay carrying a cargo of 110 African slaves. Captain Foster was working for Timothy Meagher, a wealthy Mobile shipyard owner and shipper, who had built the Cleotilda in 1856. Local lore relates that Meagher bet some northern gentlemen that he could violate the 1807 law without getting caught. Meagher had learned that West African tribes were fighting, and that the king of Dahomey was willing to trade Africans for gold. When the Cleotilda arrived from Africa, federal authorities had already been alerted to the illegal scheme. Captain Foster, fearful of the criminal charges, arrived at night, transferring his cargo to a riverboat, then burning the Cleotilda before sinking it. When freed, the Africans settled in Plateau, Alabama, a poor rural community just north of Mobile, calling their community Africa Town. They adopted their own rules and leaders, and they established the African Church. The group worked hard. The women used their agricultural skills to raise and sell crops, and the men worked in mills for $1 a day, saving money to purchase the land. When possible, they avoided the whites. Joe Louis was the last survivor of the Cleotilda voyage, was interviewed for the Journal of Negro History. He told stories about the civil wars in West Africa and the losing side being sold into slavery. His group were West African, they were the Tarkar people. Joe related how he had been captured by warriors from neighboring Dahomey, taken into Huda, and imprisoned within a slave compound. He had been sold by the king of Dahomey to William Foster and then transported to the U.S. The Tarkar people asked to be repatriated, but were denied, and instead, tried to recreate a homeland in Mobile. The group continued speaking their native language and used African gardening or cooking techniques, trying to retain their West African culture. For several years, Joe Louis served as a spokesman for the Tarkar people of Africa Town. He was visited by many prominent blacks, among them Booker T. Washington. Joe Louis eventually came to believe that Africans had to adopt the new country, even though their white countrymen had treated them brutally. In Africa Town, the Union Baptist Church has the Joe Louis Memorial statue. In 1997 there was a campaign to have the community declared a historical site.